Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in-store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.
2 ads. Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in-store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.
It's finished. All right, switch to camera 1. Hi everyone, and welcome to Gold Wingnut Live. I'm your host Don Wiley, and today we're at the beautiful Everglades Recreation Center in the Yosemite and Yellowstone room. And today I have 3 very special guests with me today. On my right is Mr. Bradley Arnold, who is the County Administrator for Sumter County. Next to him is Ms. Cassandra Smith. She is the Chief Financial Officer and Assistant City Manager for the City of Wildwood. And on my left, I have the District Manager, Mr. Kenny Blocker. These folks, between the 3 of them, they are responsible for about 95% of the government money that is used to run Sumter County, City of Wildwood, and the villages. So today, we're streaming live, but we've got a live audience also. The live audience will be asking questions, and obviously you all can ask questions also online at YouTube, and we'll try and get you some good answers. The focus of today's show is going to be on the budgets, taxes, fees, things like that. The money aspect that is so important to all of us. I have also some questions for each of them if we start running out of steam, but that's okay. We are sponsored this week by Kitchen Wise and Closet Wise, and by Country Village Power Equipment, 2 of my sponsors. Also in the room, we have a bunch of other sponsors. We have Black Dog Garage Floors. We have Fur and Away Mobile Dog Grooming. Whoops, they're not here, but he's out, I think, grooming a dog. Magic Stairs. We have Murphy Bed and Office. We have Nova Water Filters. Renaissance Hearing. Rent from a Villager. Shade Masters USA. Surf to Turf Home Inspections. And of course, Gold Wingnut Productions is here. So, off the bat, I'll go ahead and let each of the folks here up on the board introduce themselves and kind of explain to you what their job is. Mr. Arnold, we'll start with you today, sir.
Sure. So I'm Bradley Arnold. I'm the County Administrator. So some of my primary functions is report directly to the 5 elected officials that make up the Board of County Commissioners. So I provide recommendations of policies to the board as they move forward in providing the governance for the county. I also act as the budget officer for the county and responsible for all of the operations of the Board of County Commissioners. So there's quite a few services that we provide. So that's one of the responsibilities is overseeing the day-to-day operations for the county.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Ms. Smith.
Again, my name is Cassandra Smith. I'm with the City of Wildwood. I serve as the Assistant City Manager and the CFO. My primary duties are putting the budget together for the city. I do a lot of the capital improvement planning, annual reporting, and assisting the city manager with any executive tasks that he needs assistance with.
All right, thank you. Mr. Blocker.
Well, thank you, Don, for having me. So a few things that we do as a district. So the district manager, we oversee right now 26 community development districts. That includes 16 residential districts, I think 5 commercial districts. We have a couple of dependent districts, 2 utility dependent districts, one with the city, one with the county, and 1 fire dependent district with the county. So we oversee all those. Those are all individual governments, so we manage all those individually. But collectively, we do it all as one big operation like a city or a county would do as a council, city manager form of government. So we manage all those. So you can imagine we have about 130 board members with about 26 or 27 board meetings a month. So we have a huge management under our umbrella, have about 2,500 employees that we make sure that we maintain all the services and dedicate the team to manage everything that we know about the villages. So that is kind of a quick nutshell of what we do.
All right, thank you. So as you've heard, these 3 individuals have a lot of hats they wear. They've got a lot of different things they got to manage. Having served on a CDD board and now as a county commissioner, I can tell you that there is a lot of moving parts to this. So again, one of the things that we're doing is trying to raise money for our firefighters' Thanksgiving Day dinner. I'm working with a group of folks here in the villages to provide Thanksgiving dinner for the VPSD, the Villages Public Safety Department firefighters. All 12 stations, 10 stations, how many? 9. Well, and then 49 makes 10.
That'll be number 9.
Oh, that'll be number 9, okay. I'm sorry, my brain's been running crazy. Commissioner Bogue on the Board of County Commissioners, he does a similar operation for all the county fire stations. And I can see where this show is going to be. Okay. So, I mean, all right, so we got 18 fire stations in Sumter County. That's quite a few. And then we also have with us today Commissioner Bill Ardello, who is, he works with a charity called Turkeys from Heaven. Turkeys from Heaven, they provide a turkey dinner on Christmas for the underprivileged families here in Sumter County. So when you're watching today, you'll see on the screen at the bottom some QR codes. One of those is for each of the 3 different charities. If you want to send money, you can send them to there. If you want to send money and spread it out between 2 or 3 of them, just submit to one, put a note in there, and let me know, and we'll get it divided up accordingly. So one of the things I need to cover is the Florida Sunshine Law. We noticed this meeting as a public meeting because as a county commissioner, I have to abide by Florida Sunshine laws. Today in the room, we have Commissioner Bill Ardello with me, and I don't know who else is watching, but because of that, I have to be very careful on not discussing things that are could come before the county commission for votes. So to stay away from violating any sunshine laws, when it comes to certain questions, I'm going to defer to Mr. Arnold, and because I'm not going to discuss how I would vote on something one way or the other. So that's Florida sunshine laws. So we'll start out. We've got, there is feedback. So Adam, did you see? Okay. All right. So Kenny, we got the first question for you. And it says, how do we, this is from Linda E. She says, how do we vote against the amenity cap?
So the amenity cap has been discussed by the AAC, the Amenity Authority Committee that reports to the Village Center Community Development District. And they passed a resolution this past month to cap the amenity fee at $199 per month. The Village Center did direct me to send letters per the request at AAC to the other amenity owners, that being Sumter Landing with Project Wide as the committee, and also to the developer who owns the amenities from District 14 on south. So if you wish to go out and vote against or to tell those committees or those boards how you feel about an amenity cap, that is the appropriate measure. So I'm not sure where Linda E. lives, but if she's in the Sumter Landing Service Territory, she would go to the project-wide advisory committee at their next meeting and kind of express her feelings as to how she feels about an amenity cap. If she lives north of County Road 466 and is in the AAC territory, then she would go to that next meeting as well. And of course, the developer will make their decision on how they feel about the on their under their purview for their ownership. So that's kind of how it would work. Go to those boards, those committees, and express your feelings to those supervisors on how you wish them to proceed on the amenity cap.
All right, thank you, Kenny. So I got a bunch of questions and comments that I gleaned over the last couple of weeks in preparation for this. There's quite a few on the village's side about this amenity cap. So I'll give you the next one, Kenny.
Sure.
Can the AAC cap the amenity fees and PWAC not?
No, so really the way the agreements read is they cannot create disparate services amongst different owners or different regions, different areas between AAC, Sumter Landing, or the amenities owned by the developer, because that is just the way it is set up as to one, although they're different owners, they all have to represent themselves in the same manner, so they can't create different fees or different structures in different areas, because this is all one big villages. No matter what the ownership is, so the AAC can't arbitrarily go out and create disparate services. If you go back to the February workshop that they had with their attorney, Mr. Stone, he went over this in depth with them to explain to them how the interlocal reads and how it was created, and that they cannot arbitrarily create a disparate services based on how they feel. It all has to be in partnership with all the owners.
Okay, great. We'll do one more on the amenity because I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk online about the amenities caps. People are saying they're on fixed incomes and things like that. So a lot of the comments, I've grouped them together under individual questions. So in this next one, amenity fees keep going up and up and pricing people out of their homes. Why won't the AAC and the CDD boards just put a cap on the amenity fee and stop lining the pockets of the developer?
So the ownership of the amenities are threefold. Part of the amenities are owned by the Village Center through the Recreational Amenities Division that is overseen by the AAC. So they own that, not the developer. The second trop is the Sumter Landing Community Development District that owns the amenities basically from Districts 5 through District 13. So that is through the SLAD, Sumter Landing Amenity Divisions, that PWAC, Project-Wide Advisory Committee, oversee and make recommendations to Sumter Landing. So Sumter Landing receives that revenue stream. The developer only receives the revenue stream from Districts 14 and beyond. So it is managed and operated through each of the ownerships, Village Center through RAD, from the AAC overseeing that. Project-wide oversees the Sumter Landing piece. They receive the revenue for that, and then the developer receives the revenue for their ownership. So we're not lining the pockets, so to speak.
Well, I knew that, but I'm glad somebody else has said it also. Okay. All right. So do we have any more? No, nothing coming in. So I will, I'll throw the next one to Mr. Arnold. Mr. Arnold, so this is, again, all these are from multiple takes, but basically, the Daily Sun says that the Board of County Commissioners is raising taxes again. Why is the board raising taxes? With all the new houses and increases in property appraiser, they should be lowering our taxes. Jump in there, Brad.
Sure. So let's look at history a little bit. Over the past 18 years, Sumter County raised taxes one time. That was 2019. Effectively, looking at the rollback rate specifically, it was about a 33% increase. When you look year over year, it was about 25% increase. So the board has traditionally lowered the property taxes year over year. This is the first year since 2019 where there was a tax increase, so the board is proposing to increase taxes. The bulk of that proposed increase is actually to support directly both fire and EMS departments. Village Public Safety Department, Sumter County Fire and EMS. And that's through a municipal service taxing unit, an MSTU, which is again an ad valorem based process, property tax for that support for both of those fire departments. The other component has to do with the general fund. The general fund current millage rate is the taxing rate, the multiplier versus your taxable value that generates what the tax bill is. So the current millage rate is 4.89. So the board is proposing to hold that millage rate at 4.89, which happens to be the lowest millage rate that the county's ever had in its history. And the reason for proposing to hold it is to be able to offset impacts by the state of Florida. State of Florida, during this past legislative session and signed into law, had revenue impacts to the county, so it helps offset that loss of revenue. But also the board has a specific focus to make sure that we continue to fund law enforcement or public safety. There are increases with the sheriff's office, but also do an additional support towards road maintenance. So there's about $6.4 million that's beyond the traditional $1 million that's set aside for just general road maintenance. So the board wants to make the first significant step towards making road maintenance an additional priority. We focus so much always on public safety. That's not going to go away, but the board wants to start making a bigger hit into road maintenance activities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arnold. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned the rollback rate. Can you explain the rollback rate? Because many people don't understand what that is.
Sure, I'll start off again. The millage rate itself is the multiplier that you use against the assessed value of the property. So that number per $1,000 of assessed value is what you would use. So when I say 4.89, so it's 4.89 divided by 1,000 times whatever that assessed value of the property is, generates that particular revenue. So rollback rate is where the overall aggregate values of the county, when applied with that millage rate, doesn't add any additional revenue to the county government solely based on increase in value of existing properties. So that number, that millage rate number, is called the rollback rate. So this time it's lower than 4.89. It's 4.6684 is what the rollback rate is. And so by the board holding the millage rate currently at 4.89, it's above the rollback rate, and therefore it constitutes a legal tax increase because we're actually going to get additional revenue from existing properties that we would otherwise not get at the rollback rate. So obviously, the general question is, then how can the county government over all these periods of year going to the rollback rate actually even have any revenue coming in from property taxes? And that it has to do with new construction. So new construction, when you're taking vacant land and developing it, that's where the additional revenue comes in to provide support for the continued service that the county provides.
Great, thank you. Yeah, the rollback rate basically keeps you paying the same amount year over year. All right, so we'll change gears. Ms. Smith, are taxes going up in Wildwood, like in the county?
So we have not made that official determination. I do not expect at all the taxes to be going up from the current millage rate of 2.8287. We have our first budget workshop with the City Commission tomorrow, where we are proposing 3 different options on property tax, the highest one being our current level, and then two lesser levels, one of them being the rollback rate that Bradley just discussed. I suspect that we will probably either maintain the current rate or do a slight reduction.
So if you maintain the current rate, then that would be a tax increase.
Correct. If we maintain the current millage rate, it would have to be advertised as a tax increase because our rollback rate is lower this year than that millage rate.
Okay. Okay, so There's a lot of controversy over Wildwood taxes from residents in the villages, mainly those south of 44. Basically, summary of the comments, my Wildwood taxes are over half as much as my county property taxes. What is the city doing with all the windfall in taxes?
So Wildwood does fund a number of things in the villages. One of the biggest expenditures is our police department, which I realize might come up again. We spend $10 million, well, our proposed budget for next year for the police department is $10 million. We also have street-related expenses. We do take ownership of some of the streets in the villages, and we proactively do pavement preservation activities to preserve the life of those streets. So every year we're taking proactive measures to prolong the streets that we are responsible for in the villages. One of the big items that stuck out to me this year in the Public Works budget was villages street lighting. We're budgeting almost $2 million for the street lights in the villages. So there's a lot of different activities that we do utilize the tax revenue for.
Okay. So one of the comments was some folks have come in late, so I'll just introduce you all again. On the far right is Mr. Arnold. He's the county administrator for Sumter County. Young lady to my right is Cassandra Smith. She's the chief financial officer and assistant city manager for the city of Wildwood. And on my left is the district manager, Mr. Kenny Blocker. So if you're just joining us, that's who we have with us today. VS says Wildwood taxes are unacceptable. Okay? Nobody likes taxes. Nobody likes taxes. I know I don't like taxes. Let's see. Walter S. says, I wonder how much the city makes on each ticket written. I guess somebody got a speeding ticket. They want to know what the city's making. I don't know. Takes a lot to run a city. All right. We got a bunch more comments that have popped up on the screen. Let's see, VS says, the villages needs to get organized and understand that they can completely control the city board. This needs to be done. This needs to be a priority. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read through this here. It's all the way at the other end of the room, and my vision isn't what it used to be. Has there been any discussion about redoing the golf cart pass on the south end of the villages? We just had another death last week in Lake Denham, Dabney, due to carts having to share road with cars. Mr. Blocker?
I have not heard of any issues with the golf cart pass on the streets. I believe they're referencing, is that District 14, City of Leesburg? So those are cart paths are on the road. Typically, when you have 2-lane road, you have a cart path on there as well. If you have a 4-lane road, you have an actual cart path. So I haven't heard of any issues down there. Those roads are completely designed and engineered for safety for both vehicles and the golf cart paths. And I have not heard any comments about that. But that would be something that will go back to the city of Leesburg as well. Those are their roads.
Right. So, but in Lake Denham and Dabney, that is consistent with what we see throughout the villages. Basically, if it's a main 2-lane road, golf carts travel on the road, whether it's Odell Circle, Hillsborough Trail, you name it. They're all like that. Only time that we see separate golf cart paths, or excuse me, multimodal paths, is when it's a 4-lane road. All right. Let's see. Are the oh, this is an interesting one. Becky wants to know, are initial bonds paid off before new ones are issued, or are they rolled over year to year? So I'm assuming she's talking about the bonds that are on the homes here in the villages.
So residential bonds, I
Yeah.
assume, yeah. So those are issued initially for 30 years. They're amortized over 30 years. Typically, when we go out to market on those, we do sell them with 10-year calls. We've been doing 8-year calls recently. And at that point in time, if it's advantageous, if the market conditions are good, we will refund them, but we never go out any further than that 30 years. So whatever was left. If it was a 10-year call, we would do a 20-year refunding. If it was an 8-year call, we would do a 22-year funding on top of that. And then again, we put a call feature in there again, so we can look at the market conditions when they come up, but we never go past the 30 years. That's essentially what I'm saying, so.
Yeah, I think they must have the impression that after the bonds are paid off, that the CDDs issue additional bonds.
No, so right
I
now,
don't think that's ever happened,
the
has
only
it?
2 residential districts that have their bonds paid off are Districts 1 and 2, and they have not been out to market for an additional reissue. They have not needed any type of capital expenditures that a bond would be forthcoming for, so right now they have no bond payments in Districts 1 or 2.
Okay. So watching the comments that came through, apparently there's been a step up in speeding enforcement throughout the villages on both golf carts and cars. So I know at the county level, we've heard a lot of complaints about people speeding, and there's been a lot of requests to have enforcement stepped up. And I guess Wildwood is stepping up enforcement also.
We receive requests for increased enforcement occasionally as well.
So, if you're the correct answer is, if you're speeding, stop and you won't get a ticket. It's a pretty simple equation, folks. All right. So we've got some, let's see what's coming else here on the screen. All right. Let's go back to the questions that I have here. There was one that I got slammed pretty hard. I went to a Florida Association of Counties meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we had a lot of discussions about the governor's decision to try and get rid of property taxes. And I got blasted in quite a few emails. Summary was, Don has been spreading doom and gloom comments about the governor's plan to get rid of property taxes and how it will wreck the county. The politicians need to just stop wasting our money on pet projects and focus on the essentials, and we would be fine. What do you think, Mr. Arnold?
Well, first of all, we do have pet projects because we do provide animal services, so I just want to make sure that we're clear on that particular topic. But also, when we're talking about different revenues and what is sustainable revenues, which is another one of the comments that I saw in the chat, property tax is what's called an inelastic revenue source. It is the most reliable revenue source for the continuation of government service operations. Sales tax, as an example, is considered elastic. It's going to shift based on the economy. And if you're not from Florida, I'm going to welcome you to the boom bust state that Florida is. So we go through these highs of significant growth, and then we hit pretty hard in regard to the slowdown. And so if any of you are around during the Great Recession, you could definitely see a market impact related to the sales tax operations. And so you don't want your law enforcement presence, your fire and EMS presence, swinging up and down related to the availability or the quality of response. As a resident, you're looking for consistent service from those public safety operations, and property tax is in fact that revenue source. For Sumter County, we have over 57% of the general fund is property tax revenue. Public safety, just from the general fund side, 42% of all the expenditures of the general fund is for public safety. So if you drop 57% of the revenue source, it's a strong likelihood that public safety is going to be impacted, since it's 42% of our total expenditures. But again, supporting the governor in regard to his comments, and as Don made a comment as well, no one likes taxes, but it is a community contribution, involuntary though it may be, to be able to ensure that public safety is served, that you have those things that cannot otherwise be provided by the private sector. That's the reason why you have roads, interstates. Those are public goods that the private sector can't necessarily provide on a regular basis. Law enforcement, be careful about private security coming to your house with a search warrant, going through the process, ensuring that you have appropriate due process in regard to whatever that activity may be. So understand that the governor's initiative is based on feedback from the general public. And so if it goes to a referendum, you get to choose. But understand that when you choose not to have property tax as a revenue source, you're also choosing to reduce your public safety for your community.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, I mean, I will tell you, I'm not the only county commissioner that's, brain's about to explode on this issue. At Florida Association of Counties, all 67 counties were there. And pretty much across the board, everybody's like, what are you, nuts? All right, so we are at the half-hour point. We're going to take a short break. Adam, you want to? All right. Scott, you want to step to the microphone, please?
Yes, sir.
Adam, when we come back, Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida,
Well done. Okay, we're back. So I have Scott Goodard. He is the owner of Kitchen Wise, Closet Wise, one of our sponsors for today's show. Scott, so tell us a little bit about your company, a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Don, thanks. We appreciate you having us here, and I appreciate all of you here as well. It's a great education session for us as citizens, too, so thank you for that. But yeah, I'm Scott Goodger. I am the owner of Kitchen Wise and Closet Wise, and we help provide storage solutions to you because, as you've heard in our ad that's on Dan's channel, storage is an issue with homes in the villages, right? The closets are small, the garages aren't the largest, so we need a place to go and add extra storage for the items that we bring down from our houses up north. So we utilize the efficient walls that are in your home by providing extra hang space, extra shelving, extra cabinetry, and even in your kitchen with the accessibility of additional rollout drawers that you may need inside of your cabinet. Because nobody likes to bend down, get on their hands and knees, reach all the way into the back of their cabinet to get out that one pot that they need, right? So we can help that by making it easier by putting that rollout drawer in your cabinet. We've been in business here in the villages for about 4 years. We truly love serving our community as residents of the villages as well.
All right. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. So going back to some of the online questions, Becky wants to know how much of the current budget is allocated to payroll and retirement funds. And that's going to go to both Mr. Arnold and Ms. Smith. So, who wants to jump in there first?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
How much of the current budget is allocated to payroll and retirement funds?
Okay, so for Wildwood, our retirement is through the Florida retirement system. So there's a certain percentage of that the city contributes based on our payroll to the Florida retirement system. I believe that amount is, do you recall what it is right now? 13?
Varies on the type of positions.
Huh?
Varies
Oh,
on
well,
the
this
type
is
of-
true. It does vary on positions. If you're in a specialist class, if you're in a regular class or a senior management class. The majority of our staff outside of the PD are in the general class, which I think the contribution rate is somewhere around 14% of payroll, and I'm rounding there. As far as our payroll itself, it is out of our operating expenses. It's about 50% of operating expenses, just rounding.
Okay, so about 50%. Okay. Mr. Arnold.
So ours is a little bit higher in regard to the percentage, and I'm just going to use Sumter Fire and EMS as a specific example because it's very labor intensive. You have the firefighters that serve both on fire apparatus, but we also have within the Sumter Fire and EMS area 6 ambulances that are also staffed. So payroll and those things that are benefits that are associated with that payroll constitutes 74% of the entire departmental operation budget.
Okay. How about the villages, Kenny?
It's a little bit different in our respect because we have a general fund, which is under the village center that provides all the general governmental services, and you have the fire department, which has another different fund. And then you have the entire budget with all the districts that we manage. So in total, all the districts that we manage is probably, you're gonna think it's about $650 or $700 million budget in total for all the districts. And then the general fund that flows through us is about 80 million, but of course not all that is personnel. But roughly a good rule of thumb always looks at when your general fund, you're probably around 70 to 75 to 80% of your budget is typically personnel.
Okay. So, and people think that's kind of high. Compared to the federal government, it is, but we don't have to buy things like submarines, aircraft carriers. We don't have national defense. We don't have all the social welfare programs to fund either. So ours, at the local level, it's really about paying for the employees that service the rest of the population.
There is social component that's mandated by the state of Florida. So Sumter County does have responsibility for budgeting for paying for the Healthcare Responsibility Act, as well as its portion of the contribution to match Medicaid on behalf of the state for the funds that it receives from the federal government.
Okay. So there is a little bit of that.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see, do we have any more questions? Let's see, Greg says the Florida Policy Institute estimates that Florida sales tax may need to rise from 6 to 12% to account for a potential property tax loss. It's an interesting concept. Who's going to get hurt on that, though? I'll tell you who will get hurt. The border counties, especially. Because, hey, if you're going to pay 12% tax in Florida, well, I'll just jump over to Alabama or Georgia and pay their 6%.
Don, if you want me to jump in on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
That's actually a divide also at the state level, because you had the Speaker of the House during this last session looking to reduce the overall state sales tax, because again, sales tax, although it's elastic, it's also regressive. That means that it has a harder hit on folks of lower income than folks of higher income. And so that's also part of the disconnect in regard to the discussion at the state between the executive branch and legislative branch. But you're also absolutely correct that if the state jumped to that level of sales tax statewide, we would lose a significant competitive edge, particularly with drawing industry and supporting existing industry here in the state of Florida.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we got any more up there? Yeah, so some people are saying they're okay with higher tax, sales tax. Again, as Brad said, it affects the lower income people more because, if I'm making $1 million a year, which I'm not, and I go out and buy, I don't know, a new camera, well, that extra, $20 or $30 in taxes at that income level is nothing. But if you're at a much lower income tax or a much lower income level, it does hurt more because you just don't have the spare assets to go with that. Let's go back to some of the other questions. Here we go. They're paying the landlord's property taxes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Think of all the people who pay zero taxes because they don't own property. Well, everybody pays taxes. My take on taxes, ladies and gentlemen, is businesses don't pay taxes. They collect taxes. Taxes for a business, it's just like fuel, labor, and material. It's just another cost. They bundle it all up, and they've got to make a profit in the end. So taxes come before profits, not after profits. All right. So Kenny, this one's for you.
Sure.
Why are some CDDs raising maintenance fees and others are not? We're all in the villages. We should all pay the same.
Interesting. So remember I told you we have 16 residential CDDs as far as residential districts. Each one of them are individual governments. Each one of them have been formed at different times. Some of them are 30 plus years old. Some of them are brand new. They all have different needs. They all have different structures. They all have different capital plans. So they have to look at all their needs to maintain their community development district within their own little geographic region. So they're not all the same as far as their needs, remember? So some are a lot older, they have to have capital plans. Some are brand new, they don't have as many, they don't have any capital plans when they're brand new. But they have operating dollars as far as maintaining. So where that landscaping is, that has to be maintained, the irrigation fees, there may be painting, there may be some water retention areas, that we do have a lot of water retention areas here. They all have to be maintained, but all of them are individually different, and they all individually budget differently because they are all individual governments. They all have different needs.
Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting, because when I was on CDD 10's board, I can remember one year we were raising our maintenance assessment 8%, and CDD 9 was lowering theirs because they had excess reserves. And 9 and 10, very similar in size, and right next to each other between 466A and 44. Okay. All right. Another fun one for you, Kenny.
Yes.
All right. Why do I pay more for amenities than my neighbor? Why don't single residents get a lower amenity fee than married couple? We don't use the amenities as much. Another one says, I don't play golf. Why do I have to pay amenity fees to maintain the courses? And of course, another one is, I'm getting older. I've paid the amenities fees for the last 20 years. I should get a discount since I don't use the amenity fees as much now that I'm older. I've paid my share. Thoughts?
So let's go back to the original day when you signed your closing documents to buy a home in the villages. And part of that was an agreement that you would pay the amenity fees, right? And that amenity fee would increase year over year by the CPI. It's all in the contract that you signed to maintain all the amenities here. Whether you decide to use a certain amenity or not, that's certainly a personal choice. A lot of people play golf. A lot of people don't play pickleball. But we all pay the amenities to make sure we maintain the integrity of what the recreational opportunities are here for each and every one of us. So no matter what you take part in, it is one big fund that maintains everything. So remember, you signed a contract to pay those amenity fees, and we are now obligated to maintain, to collect on those amenity fees. And so each year they will go up by the CPI based on the month that the original land sale was based on.
Okay. Yeah, just because you don't use it today doesn't mean you don't get to. So it looks like we have a question from the audience. So Adam, you want to switch to the mic? All right, go ahead, sir. Tell us your name and
I'm
what is your
Doug
question?
Mintz, and I just had a question. I live in Sumter County. What I'm trying to understand is the dynamic with property tax. So if the governor had his way and eliminates property taxes, those are county based taxes, are they not? And does that affect the mill rate? So there still be some kind of mill rate that goes direct to Sumter County for the public safety and everything else. I don't understand how everything's distributed. Once you pay that mill rate, you're paying a couple $1,000s a year in property tax. But if that goes away, obviously city services and safety, everything else goes down, but somewhere it's got to get paid for. So I don't understand that whole concept, or I guess, or what the piece of the pie is when you're paying for that property tax locally in Sumter County.
Sure. So when you're paying the property tax, you'll get your bill. And so depending on where you live within Sumter County, you're going to have on there the general county line for taxes. You're going to have, if you live within the city, you'll have the general line for county, and you'll have city tax. You'll also have the Southwest Florida Water Management District, which is a water management district tax. And then you're also going to have school board tax. So those are the specific taxes that you could see on your tax bill. And so if property taxes globally are eliminated, then none of those will exist to support the schools, to support the city, to support the county, to support the district government, or not district, but water management district, sorry about that. So that's what we're talking about, those revenues. We actually have also, you may have seen on your bill, there was an MSTU, Municipal Service Taxing Unit, that was there that ultimately was set at 0. And so that was where initial number was there. And so if you paid early, you wound up getting a refund for that particular component. If you had not paid, you didn't have to pay that portion. So there are 2 MSTUs that are proposed for next budget cycle for this tax year. And so if there's no property taxes, then that additional funding does not go to the fire departments either. So back to your point, okay, so what other revenue source offsets that? Well, there is no other revenue source to offset that. In fact, there's less revenue sources to offset that based on the recent law that just came through with the state, reducing further sales tax on leases of property, which again, that's to the benefit of businesses and the community as a whole, if you will, but that's a drop in revenue source. So there's only one option, and that is to reduce services. And so that'll be a decision by each of the cities and the county related to what they reduce to be able to still bring in an obligated balanced budget. So for the county, that would be an interesting process to go through and exercise, because some of the things that we fund that we would prefer not to fund. I talked about the Healthcare Responsibility Act funding. I talked about some of the Medicaid funding. Those are state mandatory, so you still have to fund those. So you wind up going through those things that are required by state law to fund. Fire departments are not statutorily required to be funded. So right now, that would have an impact, as I stated, on the MSTU. There's certain things that are not obligated to be funded by the state, but we do have agreements with our 5 municipalities. We have more consolidated services that the county provides for municipalities than any other county in the state of Florida, because that is as doge as you can get related to efficient delivery of service, is through that consolidated effort. So we have those obligations with the cities, and so now we don't have the funding associated with providing those services. So it would require us to go to the cities for them to partner with us in regard to those things that they agree that will further diminish the level of service. Libraries is not statutorily required to be provided, as an example. So we would go through those things that are not statutorily required, that aren't through our interlocal agreements to provide. And then we would then go back to our cities at that point in time and find out what level of service are they comfortable with us reducing because of the limited funds that we would have.
So for clarity again, if that happened overnight, I mean, pretty much all your public safety, all the city and county revenue on your tax statement is funded through property tax. Yeah. So it's just a political feel-good thing to say, yeah, make this go away, but somehow that has to be funded, or is it funded through local sales tax then? I mean, how do you pick up funding? Because it goes to zero is what you're saying, right?
So the county does not have the ability to further increase sales tax locally. So that is not a revenue source. So as I stated, we're limited on revenue sources by state law that we could actually pursue. So again, it's back to the governor has heard from the residents of the state of Florida that they don't want to pay property taxes, and he's responding to the will of the people. But it's ultimately a decision of the people through a referendum. And my point is, choose wisely. When you go to the ballot, if that referendum's there, ask the question, is it a full reduction of all property taxes? Is it an elimination of property taxes for residents? Where the shift then goes further to the business sector, which then will reflect in your bills that you pay when you go to the service industry.
Or non-residents.
So those are the issues that you have to, as an elector, make a wise decision.
All right, thank you. Adam, are we still streaming over here? Okay, because there was a comment about sound and video being gone. It's still going? Oh, okay, great. We got somebody watching it here.
Probably while he was speaking.
Oh, okay, good, excellent. All right, so we had a few questions that popped up during the last few minutes. Roundabout signage. Some of the residents are saying it needs to be improved. Who wants to field that?
I'll definitely handle that
falls
one.
under
Yeah,
Wildwood
the
and-
bulk of the roundabout signage are on regional roads. Buena Vista is an example. This is where the county is responsible for all the regional roads throughout the county, and that's one of the relationships we have with the cities. as well as any future development, that's a county responsibility. So we have heard people questioning the signage for 20 years because everyone wants to come from their respective state and choose to want to provide their input of how our local area can further improve, particularly on signage. But one of the things that we work very diligently on is consistency in the signage. And that consistency in the signage is in place and seems to be functioning well. Now, it does not resolve the fact that people need to practice driving through roundabouts, staying in your lane, choosing which lane you enter into, specifically if it's a 4-lane facility road, that if you're in the outside lane, you can either go to the right in the roundabout, or you can continue straight through, not to continue around, and that's where we see some of the conflicts from some of our new folks that come to visit us. And if you're in the interior, you're going to be mindful not to pass people in the roundabout. And also you have the ability to go all the way back from which you came if you're in the inside lane. So that's the reason why they're posted at 20 miles per hour. I know that not everybody chooses to go 20 miles per hour or less through roundabouts. So that is one of the things that there is adequate signage if people pay attention and also practice the speed and navigating through them successfully. I know that my personal process has gone through to where I had a gentleman in a convertible Corvette who waved at me, but only one finger was showing because he wanted to continue beyond in the outside lane to continue to a 270-degree movement, which was not the appropriate movement.
And Brad, may I add, blinkers are always a
Oh,
great
wow,
option.
that's a communication device on vehicles. Let people know what your intentions are related to exiting the roundabout.
I'll tell you, as a motorcyclist, running through these roundabouts is, well, I do it with my thumb on the horn button because I know inevitably somebody's going to cut me off. It's just, it's happened so many times. It's now instinct to put my finger on the thumb on the horn button when I'm on the motorcycle, just going through the roundabouts. It's crazy. Another question that was asked, budget surplus. Is there a budget surplus in the city, county, and we'll throw in the district also? Brad?
I'll start. So our fiscal year for the county is October 1 to September 30th. And as we manage that budget, it's like any other type of business operation. You survive or you crash based on cash flow. So we're monitoring the revenue streams that come in. Property tax, again, is the most reliable revenue source, and we appreciate everyone in our county that take advantage of the early payment discount. That's very wise of you to do so. So that allows for us to have an early inrush of cash at the beginning of our fiscal year, which helps. But we monitor all the other revenues that come in for our different operations to make sure that we're meeting what we'd anticipated. We're also monitoring the expenditures in the process. And so yes, at the end of any fiscal year, we hope that there is some level of surplus. That means that revenues came in greater than our planned expenditures. We call that cash carry forward or cash balance forward. And you'll see that reflected even in our budget related to what we'll be carrying into the next fiscal year. If there's more than what we'd anticipated sufficient, we look to where we can advance capital projects, whether that's on building projects, which is one-time expenditures because that's a one-time revenue, or whether we look at moving forward with any additional road project initiatives that may be present.
Okay. Sure.
We go through much the same process. Florida state mandates that we have a balanced budget. We go through the same process that Bradley has identified throughout the year. We have a goal of having a certain amount of reserves for in cases of emergency. So in our general fund, we typically have a goal of having 25% reserved for any emergencies that happen. Anything beyond that, we we budget it to go towards capital projects that are needed in the community, usually street projects.
Okay.
Sure, you're looking at me.
Yes,
Okay.
go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, so annually we review the budgets with every district, and typically what we look for, and most of the residential districts all have reserve policies, but in general, what we look for the operational side is 3 to 4 months in working capital, just based on, you know, we need cash on hand. There may be timing issues when you receive revenues, but you still have payments to go out, so you always like that 3 to 4 months in working capital we maintain. But then also we look at capital expenditures and our capital plans, so you have to make sure you adequately fund the reserves, maybe for roads or any other type of capital projects they may be that are coming due. So we look to fund reserves, whether it be working capital or capital type of projects out of those reserves to have adequate funding. And you never know, there may be an emergency that comes up. You know, we do have storms that kind of roll through at times, and we are still waiting for FEMA to reimburse us, so we have to have that cash on hand to make sure we can maintain everything that we have here. So that is kind of how we look at it.
So is it a fair assessment based on the answers that the three of you have given? We have to maintain balanced budgets. That's required by state law. If there is additional revenues that come in or expenses that come in less than budgeted, money goes to reserves, rainy day fund, your savings account, whatever you want to call it. We do the same thing in our own personal finances, at least most do. And I guess it's fair to say that we have a backlog of work that needs to be done, that if we have extra funds, we're going to try and address those. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no big bag of money hiding underneath somebody's desk to say, because again, we have to do a balanced budget. Balanced budget means not only no debt, but not soaking the residents either for additional funds that aren't justified.
There is debt, just so you know.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. Okay, yes, we do have bonds and things like that for projects because they exceed what our budget can sustain, but then we pay them off every month, just like people do their mortgage. Let's see. We had a bunch of questions come through. Talking about
I
roundabouts.
did see one that I did want to address, which
Go ahead.
is fairly recent. So one of the questions was related to the recent tragedy with the tree falling on Marsh Bend Trail, and the question of whether we were doing any outreach to the federal government related to their maintenance of the trees. So I did have email conversation with the federal prison this weekend related to that, to make sure that they were aware that we determined that the tree was not in the county's right-of-way, but it was on the federal property. And so the federal prison wardens are taking a look at the property itself. They're doing their own assessment of their property. So we certainly are making contact. We do have a good working relationship with those folks.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. You captured that one. I've been, as I've been scrolling along and you guys have been talking, I've been trying to capture notes here also. Let's see. Oh, Becky wants to know, define what a capital project is.
So for Sumter County, it's established in our policy, and each government sets their policy related to what that threshold is. Typically for us, it's a $50,000 capital project. Basically, that's the value of it. And it's associated with typically some type of improvement of property, whether it's a new building, whether it's an expansion of a building. It also includes roads and other type of park amenities, if you will.
For the city of Wildwood, our established level of a capital project is $35,000 for any infrastructure type project, which is buildings and streets and that such.
Kenny?
So for the CDDs, we look at anything that is non-operational, right? So we don't pay for this year over year. It is something one time, or we have to rent like fences or air conditioners or remodeling a fire station or whatever it may be, some aspect of a capital improvement. Typically we look at $5,000 to $10,000 north of those dollars, but something we're not annually appropriating. It's not an operating expense. It is something that's done once every 5, 10, 15 years on the capital plan. So it may be fence replacement, although you say a fence is not that expensive. If you go down the road, there's a lot of fence here, so it is very expensive. And there's also air conditioners, that's a capital expense, roofing, so you think of those type of expenditures.
Yeah, so basically, it's the big ticket items, not the day-to-day operating cost, but new fire trucks, new buildings, things like that.
Right.
Okay, so we are right at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a quick 1-minute break and hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Nate, your turn, buddy. Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida.
All right, so we are back. Thank you again for joining us. We've been having some good questions, good conversations going on. I now have at the microphone Nate from Country Village Power Equipment. Nate, give us a quick lowdown and step closer to the mic so we can hear you. A little closer, a little closer. There you go.
All right, good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity for this. Obviously, it's a good fundraiser for the firefighters. The Country Village Power Equipment originally started 30 years ago down in Plant City, where it's been operating as a power equipment dealer as well as a golf cart store. 20 years ago, they bought property in Webster across from the flea market, where we primarily focus on the Yamaha golf carts as well as Mad Jacks, but we sell lawnmowers and chainsaws, weed whackers, a little bit of everything. We make custom Yamaha builds per your spec with added value and service. We have mobile service trucks that are in the villages Monday through Friday, as well as parts availability at the store. Regardless of where you've purchased your cart, we certainly will be more than happy to work on it under warranty or customer pay. We do a lot of work with the Sheriff's Department, schools, National Cemetery. We've been trying to do as much as we can outreach-wise for quite some time. We currently have a promotion right now on Yamaha, $2,000 off all in-stock Yamaha golf cars, 2% savings pay in full. Additionally, we have first responder discount. We always have a military appreciation discount, and for now, for the next 2 months, that's been up to for additional $1,000 off. So if you need help with the Yamaha golf cart, you have choices. There's value behind what we do. Please stop by and give us a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nate. So if you haven't been paying attention, there's been some recalls recently on Yamaha golf carts. And based on some conversations Nate and I have been having, there may be some additional ones coming that are safety related. So keep an eye out for that. Country Village can definitely work on your cart for you. So one of the things that popped up, this is a housekeeping one. It looks like Grayson is the name. I apologize. I'm looking 50 feet away in the room. It says, why are my questions not being answered? So I haven't seen them. So if you would, Grayson, post them again, and I will try and capture them as we continue on.
Roundabout.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to get to that one. Sure. So the question came up about who made the decision for a roundabout to be put at 301 and Marsh Bend Trail instead of a traffic light. Mr. Arnold, you want to take this one?
Sure. So the state of Florida, through the Florida Department of Transportation, is the responsible entity for the planned widening and realignment of US 301 from 470. Coming Monday will be called Central Parkway, north to the Turnpike and State Route 44. When they went through the deliberation of looking at intersections related to the widening and this realignment, part of that process was looking at roundabouts being at each one of the intersections. In that discussion, we looked at, with FDOT, what capacity we would lose versus gain with a roundabout compared to signalized intersection, what type of truck movements were occurring. And so in this particular stretch, the roundabout that FDOT is proposing at Marsh Bend Trail and 301 is the only roundabout that's proposed in this particular project. And the basis for that is that it is a three-way intersection. It is not a four-way intersection. And so the roundabout will allow for north-south movement on 301, but allow for the side street Marsh Bend Trail to be able to access into it as those gap opens in the roundabout, as you normally would whenever gaps open up in a roundabout based on the reduction in speed limit of vehicles traveling through the roundabout.
Okay. So basically, for the traffic that exists, it's the better choice.
Correct.
Wow, what a concept. Okay, let's see. So, Ms. Smith, I got one for you. There was a comment made about there's a lot of maintenance going on the sewers and roads in the village of Richmond, which is the area just south of Brownwood, going on by the city of Wildwood. So what's going on there? Is this correcting developer-related errors, or what's the scoop? And if you don't have any
I
idea-
don't have an answer
Okay.
on that one. I'm sorry.
So just those may be being inspected prior to turnover. I don't know if that's typically the sewer in that area is through the Wildwood Utility Dependent District, South Sumter Utilities. That's not the city of Wildwood, but they may be talking about looking at everything associated with the road turnover.
Okay,
I think is what they're probably looking
Okay,
at.
'cause
The Atlantic Pipe
I'm not
Services
aware
is
of
probably
any.
doing that.
okay. All right, so we don't have any idea. All right. Let's see. Oh, boy. So there was a question, Kenny, about metal roofs.
Yes.
Okay. Have they been approved to go forward with metal roofs? And I guess the other part of the question was, if they do, or do they provide better protection as fire hazards, and will it impact our insurance cost? Hopefully going
So I can
down.
answer maybe 1/3 of that.
Yeah, I figured as much.
So I know each of the districts have been being given presentations about questions on whether they will start allowing the metal roofs. I believe it's the metal roofs that look like shingles, so it's not a standing seam metal roof. I think it's the ones that look like shingles. So they've all been approached and looking at whether they want to bring that into the rule to allow that to happen, as opposed to just typically the shingle roofs, asphalt shingles that they were originally built with. As far as insurance costs and fire rated, that's not for me to answer because I really don't know.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I mean, anybody who can answer what the insurance companies are gonna do, they've got a better magic 8 ball than I do. Because, that's a whole different industry all in itself. Okay, so we got that one. Let's see, all right. We talked about that. So the question came up about license plate fees. Does all that money go to the state, or is it split between the state and county government? Mr. Arnold?
So that, when you choose license tag of, rather than the standard, if you will, typically that is an additional fee that you're choosing to pay to go to a particular fund. So those are remitted to the state, and the only ones that would come back for Sumter County, and it's in our budget, is the performing arts, where you're supporting the arts. That particular revenue, again, when you pay for that particular tag, that add-on goes to the state, comes back to the county, and it can only be used for that specific purpose. And so a little different than private accounting. In the government, we have what's called fund accounting. And that's where you have a lot of different pots, if you will, that have specific restrictions related to the type of revenue that can go into that pot and what type of expenditure can go out of that pot. So the arts tag, as an example, is one of those revenue sources that comes into that one fund, and it can only be used for that specific purpose. And right now, we only have one entity, which is the Performing Arts drew a blank on that. Young Performing Artists is the only entity in the state of, or in Sumter County that can actually use those funds. It doesn't generate a lot of revenue. I think they might get $1,700 a year, but they wind up requesting those funds from the county, so we act as a pass-through for that nonprofit to be able to put on different performing activities for the youth.
Okay, so, but the regular license plate fee, all that goes to the state?
It goes to the state, correct.
Okay. All right. But we get to pay to staff the county tax collector's office.
And the tax collector does collect fees as part of his operation. So Randy Mask is our tax collector, and he's chosen with the board support to be a budget officer versus a fee officer. What that means is that he submits a budget for expenditure, and it's incorporated in our general fund, but any of the fees that he collects for his services are established as revenue line items within our general fund. And so that's the level of cooperation we do have with that officer versus it being a fee officer, which basically his office is going to live or die based on the fees that are collected. And so we don't want necessarily elected official having the pressure to push for more fees versus simply being able to provide great, outstanding service that Randy Mass does as our tax collector.
Okay. Thank you. And so basically then the state pays the tax collector a small fee out of the taxes he collects for that service that he's providing to the state.
I cannot confirm that because that's his relationship with
Okay.
the state.
All right, that's why he gets paid the big bucks, right? All right, so don't have a solid answer on that one. All right, so Ms. Smith, this one's for you. When will the city of Wildwood demolish the abandoned businesses on 301 North and 44, like the storage garage business, and others near Bargains and Blessings? So Bargains and Blessings is right across from
Yeah.
City Hall.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think about which buildings would be demolished. The city did just purchase one close to City Hall. I think it was referred to as the Martin Theater. That one is scheduled for demolition at some point. We're in the middle of getting, we have a request for proposals out for ideas on how to rehab that property. We don't have plans of demolishing any other buildings that I can think of. Was 44 mentioned? I'm sorry, I can't read that.
Yeah, 44 is also mentioned.
44. We don't have ownership of any buildings down there.
So you can't demolish a building you don't own?
No.
All right. So, all right. So back to you, Ms. Smith. So I know the city of Wildwood is building a new wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
So the question was asked, are Village's residents paying for this fancy new wastewater treatment plant in Wildwood? I thought all the waste from the new village's growth was going to the plants the village has built.
That is correct. The wastewater that is generated in the villages goes to the villages' wastewater plants. The village residents are not billed any utilities from the city, and our wastewater treatment plant is going to be paid through revenues generated from our own billing sources. So no, the villages aren't paying for, village residents are not paying for the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, so it's not coming out of the general fund, it's not coming out of property taxes, it's coming out of fees collected for water and sewage.
Correct. Now, I will say that there has been, I want to say 2 transfers from the general fund to the wastewater treatment plant project fund. Because we also use fund accounting, it's difficult to say what revenue source is contributing that funding. So I can't say that there's no taxes going towards it, but it cannot be broken down into specific who's paying.
But basically the projected plan is to use revenues generated from wastewater and
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah,
all right,
correct.
great, thank you. Let's see. Trying to get, talked about license plates. All right. Anything else? Biz Villager says, as far as caps go, is the amount of Airbnbs and rentals in the villages being looked at?
So,
I don't know how we determine that.
well, under the deed restrictions, there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, there's nothing in it that restricts renting your property. It is the homeowner's choice whether to rent the property or not, and that is the decision that they make, and then they're responsible for what their renters do with that property. So, and I think state law, correct me if I'm wrong, Bradley, you think state law does prohibit any type of management of rentals as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Sumter County does not regulate Airbnbs or rental of properties. And as a matter of fact, under the new law that's been signed, even if there was a desire to have that as a regulatory, local governments are prohibited through October 1st, 2027 of even considering that type of restriction.
Okay. Great. Another one came up, Finney Way and Warm Springs. Somebody wants to know, is it being looked at for a roundabout? I don't know of any. Brad?
So back to the Florida Department of Transportation planned widening and realignment of US 301. Part of that realignment does call for signalization to be able to, that is at Warm Springs, not a roundabout, but a signalization. But just south of there, another signal so that people that want to get into the city of Coleman have an access point from that direction, as well as a signal at Industrial Park Drive and US 301 where the realignment will actually occur. So again, there was a study for consideration of a roundabout. It did not provide the appropriate capacity that the county is looking for long-term, because we still have US 301 as a truck route, and because of the proximity of the industrial parks, both Representative Marlene O'Toole, Governor Rick Scott Industrial Park, we know that truck traffic is still going to be heading north, passing through that signal at Warm Springs to access Florida's Turnpike.
Okay.
Or I-75 via 44.
So that's Warm Springs and 301. They were asking about Finney Way, which is the main.
Oh, sorry, Finney Way in Warm Springs. I was at the Warm Springs and 301. So no, the current configuration of Warm Springs as a regional road is the current configuration. There's no data to support consideration of a roundabout or signalization at that location based on traffic volume, which is dominated on Warm Springs. And there's also more than a single outlet for the village of Finney.
Okay, great. So someone asked a question about a family drive-in in Eastport or Middleton. So I'm assuming they're talking about a drive-in theater. I don't see that happening. I'm sorry. The movie industry has gone to Netflix. Let's see. During the hurricane, one of the mirrors in the tunnels went down. It was on the side of the road for weeks, and it had to be replaced. Who do we contact to get it replaced? Kenny?
So certainly contact customer service in our building, or you can contact Department of Property Management, or just easily enough, if you go on the website, send an instant reporting, just put in your information, what the issue is, and they'll be back in touch with you to make sure that gets taken care of. So.
Okay. So yeah, that's just a simple maintenance item.
Yeah.
So that's going to be handled by district property management.
That's correct. Let us know, we'll take care of it.
All right, great. Wow. So let's see. Still got a few questions here. I'm getting caught up on what's coming across the screen. There was some bickering going on earlier, but we won't go there. Let's see. Oh yeah. What does the villages own and what's being cut next? So this was in relation to the issue with the village's health facility and Citizens First Bank. There was some comments also I saw online about Villages Insurance. Villages Insurance was sold like 8 or 9 years ago, and they just finally got around to changing the name on the building. But as far as, these are business decisions made by the developer and has nothing to do with any of either the district government or the city or county. So you would have to direct those questions to the developer, and I don't think they're going to divulge any of their business plans to anybody that doesn't have a direct need to know. All right, so let's jump back to some of the questions. So here we go, Brad. This one's for you. The fire assessment tripled last year, and now the board wants to tax us more with the MSTU that was shot down last year. Where is all the money going? It sounds like lots of government waste again.
So to start off with your particular opinion related
my
to...
opinion,
No.
Brad.
Again,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
responding to the question. You is the general you, not the Don you. Again, back to public safety and focusing on fire and EMS. So if you're a business owner or you're a resident and you've never had fire loss, if you've never had a vehicle accident, if you've never been entrapped in a vehicle, if you've never had any of your loved ones fall in those categories, your loved one struck by a bicycle or when they're on a bicycle, any of those type of things, you don't know why you're contributing to something because you're not getting a return on investment for what you're contributing to. And so we understand that, and we hear that. We even had someone that owns an RV park says that dirt doesn't burn, so why am I even contributing towards fire suppression and support? So back to what does a fire and EMS department do, specifically the two that we have here in Sumter County. So they do provide fire prevention support services. Even though your neighbor's house, unfortunately, may already be 50% engulfed by the time that we arrive because of no fire alarm system, no other detection, nobody else is around. Well, part of that protection is to protect your home that's next to that home to make sure that it's also not engulfed. The rescue component of being able to search for survivors that may be in the home so that they are removed successfully in the process. Extrication from vehicles. We have millions of vehicles that travel on the turnpike in I-75. Not only as residents, but also visitors. When they have a bad day on the road, yeah, they're not specifically contributing, but that's part of our specific response because those roads are in our community, and that's what steps us up above a lot of other locations if you're traveling on I-75 and the turnpike. We also have the advanced life support component, which has to do with ambulances. We actually have 6 that are staffed in the Sumter Fire and EMS, 12 in the village's public safety department operation, going to 13. But we actually staff up based on critical incident activities to even beyond that number. We've got more staffed ambulances in this county than we've ever had before. We've got 18 fire stations, 9 in each of the fire districts that are staffed. The bulk of the cost is cost of readiness, that they're available to respond. And 70% of that total time they're on the job is typically associated with cost of readiness because you want them to be timely in the response. You want them to be effectively trained to be able to provide the highest care possible, not only from a response for the structure fire, the vehicle incident, but also for the ambulance to be able to transport you to the highest care facility so that you survive the day and your loved one survives the day. That's all about improving and focusing on positive patient outcomes. We want someone that gets delivered to the hospital to walk out with regained mental and physical capabilities that they had before whatever that incident occurred. So it's difficult for anybody to place a specific value on that. We know how to go through calculations through a study for Municipal Service Benefit Unit, which is the fire assessment component, which we don't consider the advanced life support in that calculation. For Sumter Fire and EMS, that calculation, we're at the maximum fee that we can actually charge for Sumter Fire and EMS because that service area with 9 stations that are staffed does not have the number of parcels and values that the village's service area has. That's the reason why the MSTU that's proposed, greater than 0 this time around, is for the Sumter side is 0.8571. For the Villages side, it's proposed at 0.0464. You can see that there's a magnitude of difference between that taxing rate that's proposed for each of the fire services. Again, it has to do with the amount of value and parcels that are associated with one service area versus the other. But from the Board of County Commissioners standpoint, this is a consolidated service countywide. And so it is the intent to have both service areas have as high a level and comparable service as possible. Now with the Board of County Commissioners creating the dependent district, recognizes that the Villages service area is probably going to have a higher level service. There's an upcoming stroke unit deployment that's going to occur. It's very fitting for the demographics of the Villages service area, not necessarily for the Sumter Fire and EMS area. So those are some distinguishing activities that occur. So the MSTU covers the ALS component, that's the ad valorem tax, which is not the fire assessment. It also covers what the MSBU, the fire assessment, can't cover. For Sumter Fire and EMS, we're at the maximum and it's still not enough revenue to cover that particular portion. That's the reason why the MSTU is at a higher millage rate that's proposed to be able to carry that forward. So again, it really goes back to how you want your community to provide support for your neighbors, for yourself, and for your family. We have, in my opinion, the highest quality service of fire and EMS in our county in the 2 fire service areas than any of our surrounding counties. That is one of the draws for people to come and live here and stay here, is that they can count on an outstanding level of public safety response and service.
Thank you, Brett. So I do want to back up a couple of years on this whole MSTU, MSBU, and fire assessment. You know, back in 2020, 2021, we had this committee that was formed.
2021 was the decision year.
So, and overall, the opinion of the residents of Sumter County, both the villages and outside the villages, was they were unhappy with the level of service for transport ambulances, because we had a for-hire service that had to do something that most businesses have to do. They had to make a profit. It's not an ugly word. It's just a reality of business. But to make a profit, we ended up with 6 or 7 ambulances to service the whole county.
And just on that, and that was 0 cost to the county to have that private service here. And so they were working a system status, so they would rank, staff up ambulances to be able to meet what they thought was going to be the peak demand for response, and also the revenue generation component. And so that was, they would typically have 6 to 9, varying in that process. Again, I just stated that we've got 6 plus 12, we've got 18 ambulances right now in Sumter County, about to go to 19. So again, a significant step up in the quality of service, but that cost of readiness component is expensive, because instead of the profit motive, it's the service motive that we are pursuing, and therefore it's over $20 million to pay for the cost of readiness just for those ambulances to be ready for the call. As they do transports, they do charge for those transports, but Medicaid, Medicare caps what they're going to pay. That does not necessarily cover full freight for all the services. And again, that's where the MSTU comes in to be able to provide that support for that additional coverage for the ambulance services.
Bottom line, you wanted better service, you got better service, you got to pay for it. What's been the benefit? What's the response time been? Kenny, what's the response time for villages
Typically around 5 minutes and 20 seconds,
to get an ambulance to somebody's house?
and a fire truck.
An ambulance and a fire truck to your house in, on average, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. There was times where people were waiting half an hour, 45 minutes for an ambulance before. Sumter County side, similar.
It varies,
varies.
because Sumter County, outside the village's service area, is not the same type of development pattern. We have wilderness areas, we have very rural areas, and we have suburban areas. And so that's the reason why we do have stations that are positioned, but Wildwood specific area is our highest call volume, and that's where we have the predominant number of our ambulances and concentration of our fire stations, is because we want to try to achieve an appropriate response time throughout the county. So it does vary based on those break points of suburban, rural, and wilderness for us.
The other thing we deal with on ambulances as well is the turnaround time at the hospital. So we have to constantly work with the hospitals to turn the patient around, take ownership of that patient so that we can go answer another call. So we do monitor that as well.
Yeah. So we're getting better service.
We are,
Yeah,
and we've actually had, all back to the hospitals, our hospitals are communicating with us to allow us to see, if you will, feedback of how our responders did on helping save that person's life. So we get regular kudos back to our team where our stabilization of the patient helped them resolve a stroke or other type of issue, and they track our times and show how our team members helped save that person's life.
And I'll get a little shameless plug here
Oh.
because Bradley brought it up, was the ribbon cutting for our stroke truck in partnership with UF Health is Tuesday. So once that is cut, we will now have a stroke truck in the villages to take care of any type of stroke patients, because we know one of the goals was, patient outcomes. We know that as soon as we take care of a stroke patient, the better outcome they'll have. So we will have, it's a 32 slice machine in there, and don't ask me the specifics of what all that is, but it's the highest level apparatus machine that we can have to provide the best care we can for a stroke patient. This is only one of 2 trucks in the nation that has this 32-bit or 32 slice machine here in San Diego. So we're very proud to partner with UF Health to bring that here to the villages for an extra level of care that we can provide for that. So
It's a great thing that's happening. Again, our age demographic, strokes are relatively common here in the villages compared to other areas of the country. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour. It's time for another quick 1-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to have Commissioner Bilodello talk to us about turkeys from heaven. Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none.
All right, we're back, and welcome back. It's been a great session so far. We've been at this an hour and a half. Next up, I have Commissioner Andy Bilardello, who works with a charity called Turkeys from Heaven that provides Thanksgiving, it's Christmas dinner to the underprivileged families here in Sumter County. Andy?
Well, thank you, Don. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone. I've been involved with Turkeys from Heaven for about 6 or 7 years now. And it was an organization started by a couple down in the south end of the county. And what they do is they get names of needy families from churches, local charities, schools, excuse me. And what we do is we get donations, and one night we all get together, usually down at the fairgrounds now, and we smoke in a smoker, about 300 to 350 turkeys. And then the following day, we deliver them along with all the sides for a full meal to the needy families around Sumter County. And it's really a very worthwhile charity. If you're looking for something to do, on the day we do the deliveries, if you really want to have an impact, show up at the fairgrounds, and you could deliver a couple of meals to some of the families. And just to see the look on their face when they get those hot meals is very heartwarming. One of the other things is as a side note, excuse me, my voice is all crackly. You know, you deliver your turkey dinners to the village's fire. Commissioner Bogue delivers his turkey dinners to the county fire. I started delivering Christmas ham dinners to the county fire. And I get them from Publix, fully cooked, all ready to go. Unfortunately, Publix is closed on Christmas Day, so I have to pick them up on Christmas Eve, and I don't have room in my refrigerator. So I figured, well, I'll just deliver them to the fire stations on Christmas Eve. So my son, I was talking to him one day, and he's a firefighter in another county. He was asking me, what are we doing for Christmas Eve? Because we're Italian, and Christmas Eve is our big day. And I says, well, I have to deliver all these meals to the fire stations for Christmas Day. So he laughed, and he says, well, what are you giving for the guys Christmas Eve? I said, well, nothing. He said, if you're going to deliver meals and expect those guys not to eat them for the next shift, he says, you're crazy. So now I deliver meals for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to the county fire station. So it's very worthwhile. It's just something that we do as commissioners to give back, and I appreciate everything that you do, Don, Jeff does, and everything we do for our residents here in Sumter County. And thank you for this venue and giving us the opportunity to talk about, again, Turkeys from Heaven, Sumter County. They have a Facebook page, and you can go online. They take donations. I believe it's through PayPal or Venmo, but I'm not sure. You can get with them if you just want to make a cash donation. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. So again, on the screen at the bottom in the middle, you'll see the QR codes come up for the two fundraisers for Villages Fire Department, Sumter County Fire Department, and Turkeys from Heaven if you want to make a donation to any of those. Those are the QR codes provided by those particular entities. So one of the quick questions that came up is, where is this stroke truck going to be located at?
I believe it'll be located at the Spanish Plains Hospital.
So it's going to be located at the hospital. So
That's my understanding.
okay. All right. So go back to our questions. One of the questions that came up, is there any plans for a bus service between the squares and the shopping area? I think I can probably answer this.
So no plans from the district government, no.
All right.
So Sumter County does have transit system, and so it is a call demand service. So it's a door pickup that you can schedule. There's a process that you can go online, and it's very inexpensive because it is subsidized, both federally funded through the state and locally. And so it's focused on our disadvantaged folks that may be wheelchair, et cetera. So all the vans are wheelchair accessible. As those deliveries, if you will, pick up and drop off to their destinations occur, there's typically some downtime where they'll run a circulator route. And so it does hit some of the shopping areas, doctor's offices, so that you can then hop back on that particular transit system and be able to make your way back home. There's a lot of private sector service that's already out there that people can choose to use. But you can please give our Sumter County Transit your tax dollars at work, if you will. Take advantage of it. And again, it operates during the normal business day.
All right. Thank you, Brad. I got a softball one for you. Okay? People want to know, what is this Swift Mud tax that's on the county tax bill?
Yeah, so the Southwest Florida Water Management District is a state agency, and its responsibilities include monitoring water consumption. So they're involved in any of the city or district water well systems where they draw water for your pleasure and consumption. So they regulate that. They also are involved specifically within stormwater. So any of the detention and retentions areas that Kenny had talked about that the district government manages, those are permitted ponds, and so there's a requirement for regular maintenance of those ponds. But one of the things that they get heavily involved in, particularly during major storm events, is they do regulate the dam on Lake Pennsauken. They also regulate water levels through stormwater canals. That's typically when you get closer to the green swamp. That is their primary responsibility. And so as residents, we pay taxes to that particular state agency to be able to perform those specific regulatory and operational functions.
Okay, great. well, there's what, 6 or 7 water management districts in the state?
I only pay attention to ours.
That's enough.
In the villages, we have Southwest Florida Water Management District and St. John's.
Right. Yeah. And as I've been told once, you don't stick a shovel in the ground in the state of Florida without getting it approved by the water management districts. These guys have lots of power. Fortunately, they don't cost us a whole lot. So I got questions for all of you. Who wants what question?
I'll take it, go ahead.
You'll take one, okay. What do I do with my villages questions? Oh, you'll love this one. When is the Villages going to stop wasting our amenity money on changing the flowers 4 times a year just to help the developers sell more houses?
So, the district governments are not formed and do not manage to help sell houses, so let's just kind of dispel that rumor. What we do is we maintain the integrity of what every resident bought into here. And when they moved here, they bought here for a reason. They loved the way it looked, they loved the active lifestyle, they loved everything about it. And that's what the district government strives to maintain each and every day, and we want to maintain that into perpetuity. So it is not that we're doing anything to sell houses. What we are doing, though, Don, is we're maintaining the value of your home and even seeing them increase. So that's what we're trying to do.
I've often heard it said that, the Villages is like Disneyland. When it comes to our landscaping, Disney needs to come up and take a few lessons from our district government. This is a beautiful place to live. Okay, who?
I'll take one.
You'll take one, okay. I got 2 left for Wildwood, okay. So, why did Wildwood spend $30 million on a parking garage on the wrong side of 301? Why didn't they just buy up some land and make a regular parking lot and save the taxpayers money?
Well, I'm not sure where the number 30 million came from.
I don't either. That was one that was thrown at me. I didn't think it was that much, but
No, it was 7 million.
7 million. Oh, that's
7
a lot
million,
better.
a little bit less than 30. And I think it's on the right side of 301. It was a public-private partnership. The rail yard is under construction, just a block down, and it's going to have restaurants and public areas for recreation. And we needed someplace for people to park on that side of 301. 301 is just such a dangerous road to be trying to traverse on foot. And oftentimes when we need to go over to the other side of 301 from City Hall, we will actually drive across so we don't have to walk across. So there's going to be there's already a lot of shops on that side of 301. There's Bargains and Blessings, there's Miss Kathy's Cotillion. There's so many shops already over there, and then with the rail yard coming, they will not be successful unless there's parking there.
Okay, thank you. Pretty garage.
Yes, it is. Yes.
You got to take the first step someplace, and parking is always going to be an issue. All right, Brad, I got one for you.
Sure.
And we've talked about this one many times, but I'll let you have it. Traffic keeps getting worse at Morrison 44. Is the county going to fix the intersection before the new Walmart opens, or will we be in gridlock until they finally decide to do something about the mess they created?
I'm not quite sure who they is, but all of our traveling public may fall into that category of they. But we do have the new Walmart that's under construction, nearing completion, and that's on the southwest quadrant of Morse and 44. We also have Costco that will be opening up. I believe it's the first week in August. So for Costco fans, please take note of that. But both of those are the most recent, I'll call it large box retailers that's coming into Sumter County and into the Villages area. And so residents in that area, predominantly village residents, are starting to raise concern about the what if scenario of, is it going to cause me further delay in regard to my normal commuting patterns? Is it going to increase the risk of my traveling within the particular areas? And so, it's a split issue for me because typically there's a large excitement about Costco coming in and the new Walmart coming in. And that excitement is that those commercial service providers are now going to be more conveniently located for large populations, particularly the village residents. So there's the happy side. It's the issue of those people that live closer to that particular location or commute through those intersections more frequently that are the ones that are raising the concerns. So on the Costco side, we've already looked at a three-way stop at Woodridge and Southern Trace. It doesn't meet the warrants. That means that it doesn't meet the engineering justification at this time. But we will follow up in February after Costco has operated for a good couple of months, because if you've been in the villages for at least 2 years, you know that there's typically a 30-day rush on whatever new is opened up, whether it's a restaurant, a new shop, and so you have a very 30-day peak traffic activity to that particular location until you get to steady state. And then once you get into January and February is when you start seeing the peak of the snowbird season, and that's when we actually do our traffic counts on our roads. We want to make sure that we're capturing that peak traffic movement, turning motions, et cetera. So we will follow up on the Woodridge and Southern Trace three-way stop in February of next year is the intent. For the Walmart, people are already saying that there's concerns about the congestion, specifically northbound on Morris Boulevard to the 44 intersection, that it's backing up during peak times into the roundabout. So what kind of modifications to the signalization? Do we need a right turn lane to be able to go west on 44 at that location? So the board has taken some proactive steps. Some of that has to do with not only when we reviewed the initial Walmart design, it's going to have two signals added, one just south on Morse from 44 and just west of the current signalization at 44 and Morse to be able to help move traffic to and from that particular store location. But also the board's looking at the entire intersection of Morse and 44 presently, current condition, in regard to the what-if scenario of what additional capacity and what phased approach may the board take, because until we see how Walmart affects the localized intersection from the traffic movement, it's hard to be able to confirm that what we're looking at is going to be the right modification. So looking at its potential phases, we know generally that it's going to probably be about a $4 million capacity impact in regard to cost associated with any type of intersection improvements at 44 and Morse. We don't know to what extent additional right-of-way might be required, so that would add additional cost and time for any type of implementation. The board currently does not have any funds to proceed with the design or the construction, merely the study at this point in time. So we do like to see, I'll call it a steady state of traffic ultimately, from any particular area of the villages as it grows, because you do get to a steady state. And once we do that, we go back and relook at intersections. You may see that Morse and 466, Buena Vista and 466A is just two examples where we went back and looked at adding additional dual lane turns and additional capacity once we see how the build out and traffic movement occurs. Much of the area of the villages north of 466 is built out, and therefore you can see it over the traffic counts how it's pretty much a steady state. There's nothing else that's really influencing it, and that's what we waited for before we made the modifications at Morse and 466 as an example.
All right. Thank you. Cassandra, I got one for you. It's come up on the screen. It's an interesting question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it or not.
Okay.
After what happened in Palestine, Ohio, I wonder what is being transported through the trains in Wildwood. What hazardous material? Do you know of any? I'm not sure.
Well, you know, I couldn't answer that one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know.
I can address some of the points.
Okay.
So yes, I mean the rail that we have that comes through Sumter County is called the S line for CSX. It's like the interstate for the railroad company. And so they move a considerable amount of goods and other types of products that go through, and they do have hazardous material that is transported. So part of our emergency management plan is those different what-if scenarios related to if you have a derailment, notification process, shelter in place, or whether evacuation. That really depends on what is on that train to make that particular determination. Where we've also focused are certain parts of the county where there's only one access across the railroad, and so we work diligently in every one of those instances, either crossing private property through a license agreement with that property owner or finding an alternative route for people to evacuate. In the city of Coleman, on the west side of the tracks is predominantly an African-American community, and that's one of the ones to where their access point for escape is I-75. And so we actually have a plan in place to work with Florida Department of Transportation and the State Patrol to be able to have access onto I-75 in the event of a derailment around the city of Coleman.
Okay. Yeah, so it's hard to say though what's actually moving on the trains.
It's you can imagine any and everything that's moving on the trains.
Anything that the state of Florida might need or produces.
Correct.
Okay, we'll go back to you, Kenny.
Sure.
I love this one because it just shows the lack of understanding on how things work here in the villages, but I'm going to give it to you so you can try and explain it because I've wasted my breath many times on it. Residents in the older sections of the villages keep paying for the new amenities in the south. When do we get new amenities for all the money we are paying?
So I assume when you say villages, residents of the north, you're talking about north of 466, which just gives me a nice little segue into Paradise Recreation Center. But just to kind of give it some flavor, like I said before, we have 3 owners of the amenities. We have the Village Center through the recreational amenity divisions north of 466. They own all the amenities north of 466. So when you pay, if you live in districts 1, 2, 3, or 4, you pay your amenity fee, it goes into the recreational amenities division fund. It stays there within that government up there in the Village Center. If you live in districts 5 through 13, you're under Sumter Landing Community Development District, and then all the money you pay for your amenity fees stays with SLAD, the Sumter Landing Amenity Divisions. I encourage everyone to go look at the financials each month that they're produced and provided to those boards, and it has a separate fund for Village Center under RAD, and for Sumter Landing it's called SLAD, and then, as I said before, north or south of District 14, those are privately owned amenities right now, not owned by any of the district governments. So wherever you live at, and you pay your amenity fees, it goes to that respective owner of those amenities. But north of 466, we just finished the first responders a couple of years ago. That was a brand new amenity that we built up there. And we're fixing to have a new amenity. It's going to take some time, but we're going to redo the entire Paradise Recreational Center. Actually, this Tuesday from 11 to 1, we're going to have like a walk down memory lane. If you've lived here and you've been to Paradise, you've seen it. It was the original recreation center, has that Spanish theme, very pretty. It is 30 plus years old, and we're going to have this walk down memory lane. So in August, we will be taking it down and starting the project of rebuilding it. So it's going to be like a $20 million project. So all those funds are coming out of the RAD fund, and the AAC has appropriated those dollars, and the Village Center has approved it to rebuild Paradise Rec. So all those funds that were paid into RAD go to that fund. So no one south has been paying into the Paradise Rec Center. But what's unique here in the villages is that we have reciprocal use agreements through all the owners. So no matter where you live, you can utilize any recreational facility that's available, any executive golf courses that's available, no matter where you live. That's the beauty, because we look at this as one big village. So I hope that answers the question.
Well, mostly, yeah. So just to be clear, the amenities divisions, whether it's SLAD or RAD, they don't build the amenities in the new sections. That's the developer building them. They're building amenities to help them sell houses. You end up paying your amenity fee to use those, as well as, because of the reciprocal agreement, to use all of the amenities. But the developer pays for the amenities. And by the way, shopping is not an amenity, it is a business. Amenities are things like softball fields and pickleball courts and swimming pools. Those are amenities, the fun things. The businesses are not. All right, so I guess we'll go back to Brad. We're almost out of time, and I'm almost out of questions. All right. We've already answered part of this, but some of these were generated by residents outside of the villages. When is the county going to fix the county road? Most of the roads in the real parts, the real parts of the county, I love that one, I got that part, are falling apart while the board keeps spending all our tax dollars on new roads for the villages and fixing roads in the villages that are fine. What's your thoughts on that one,
Sure.
Brad?
So for 20 years, the board has every year spent money on maintenance of roads, not just through its own internal public works operations, but also some contracted work, whether it's preservation, whether it's mill and resurfacing, or further capacity improvements on roads. So when you look at revenue, if you will, break it down, there's road impact fees that the county does have. That is limited to capacity improvements. So that's developer fees, if you will, that are paid in to support any new road construction for regional roads, specifically any intersection improvements of those regional roads. Road impact fee monies can be used for that. It cannot go towards any type of regular maintenance. So the rural roads, which maybe was being said instead of the real roads.
No, they were talking about real Sumter County,
Okay,
because the village isn't real Sumter County.
Okay.
We're just a part of it, I guess.
all right. So, so all the roads that the county is responsible to maintain are real roads, but they do break up into different categories, if you will. So regional roads are those roads that connect typically from one state facility to another state facility. They bisect cities, and that's the reason why it's a consolidated service. So the county is responsible for those roads, not only for construction, but also the maintenance of those. You may have recently seen the board completed one of the mill and resurfacing projects for one of our regional roads, which was 466. We did that mill and resurfacing from Morse West to Buena Vista. So in the proposed budget, we're going to be doing the next leg, going from Buena Vista to County Road 101. So that is a maintenance, true maintenance project, a mill and resurfacing. So the board has typically had at least $1 million every single year going towards some type of preservation, mill and resurfacing, or even overlay, which is basically just laying new asphalt on top of whatever is existing that's there, sort of roll it in that process. So the board is proposing to step up that road maintenance program in next fiscal year. Instead of $1 million, it'll be $6.4 million is what they've got proposed. So that 6.4 will help support not only that mill and resurfacing of 466 between Buena Vista and 101. It'll also go towards Rainy Trail from Buena Vista to where it transitions to 472. It'll provide for the preservation activity for villages of Glenbrook, Dunedin, and Belvedere. Then we have those areas that are outside the villages, which is what we call joint planning areas. That's where the cities intend to expand through annexation. As cities annex certain road segments, we turn those roads over to the cities. And so the city's not been happy with some of the condition of the roads that we've turned over to them. And so we've allocating 20% of that 6.4 million will go towards those roads that are in joint planning areas. So we'll be hitting County Roads 207, 207 West, 478A, which is also known as Gant Lake Road around the Webster area, 173, 173E, 605, 607, Battlefield Parkway, it's in the Bushnell area, 119 and 733. In the far rural area, which is outside of where any city is proposing the future annex, that'll be 5% of the remaining funds out of that, and that'll be for overlays for 674 portion of it, 482 South, 415, 415 A, B, and C. So that's where the board is trying to make sure that, if you will, we're looking at these different areas for road maintenance, but we have to recognize that the villages, roads that were constructed, that the county is responsible for, were built to county standards in good condition. It's our responsibility to maintain those. Much of our rural roads were farm roads that the board made a decision to avoid the permitting processes of the future coming from this thing called as SWIFMUD, Southwest Florida Water Management District, because stormwater ponds, et cetera, is going to be required. So the county did minor overlay on a lot of these old farm roads, and those are the ones that are actually in the worst condition. And some of those, we don't even own the right-of-way. It's strictly a prescriptive easement. And so the overlays are what we would have to work within the pavement segment for those roads. But again, the board is wanting to step up and making sure that we're looking at all the county, but under the eyes of 75% focused on regional roads and those roads in the unincorporated area in the villages that we maintain, 20% for those areas in the joint planning area, and 5% for the very rural areas.
Okay, great. So, yeah, the plan is to continue working on all the roads as much as we can. Unfortunately, it means a little bit higher taxes. Nothing's free, folks. Nothing is free. So we are coming up, well, it is 5 o'clock. So we're gonna wrap things up. I wanna thank the three of you for joining me today. The information you provided was valuable. Hopefully our live audience as well as our audience watching on YouTube have enjoyed this. There's obviously lots of questions. We could talk for hours probably, but I'll be honest with you, it's like you could hang meat in this room right now. I'm freezing up here, so I'm gonna be glad to go outside for a few minutes. I want to thank the folks that came down to the Everglades Rec Center here to join us live. Thank you. Please again, stop in and see sponsors for the show. Again, I want to thank my sponsors for all their support, both in this show and with the sponsoring this event. It's greatly appreciated. Our sponsors, again, for the show were Kitchen Wise and Closet Wise and Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts. We also have sponsors with 24-Hour Cart Club, Black Dog Garage Floors, Fur and Away Mobile Grooming, Magic Stairs, Murphy Bed and Office, Nova Filters, Renaissance Hearing, Rent for a Villager, Shade Masters USA, Surf and Turf Home Inspection Service, and of course, Gold Wingnut Productions. You know, I go through great pains to make sure I get good sponsors because I want my sponsors to provide a good service, a valuable service to the residents who watch my show. I have turned away several sponsors because I didn't think they were good choices. I don't think they represent what the residents that are watching my show want. Again, we did a longer show today with the guest in order to help raise awareness and money for our firefighters' Thanksgiving Day dinners and Turkeys from Heaven. If you'd like to make a donation, you can go ahead and scan the QR code that you'll see on the YouTube video. If you need to, just pause the video and stick your phone up there and you can do it that way. If you'd like to donate food for either Turkeys from Heaven or to the Village's Public Safety Firefighting, I'm sorry, I'm freezing, my brain is stuttering. If you'd like to provide food, on my webpage, goldwingnut.com, you'll see a link for Thanksgiving. Don't use that yet because I haven't updated all my coordinators on there, but you can send your information if you want to provide mashed potatoes or apple pies or pumpkin pies, whatever you'd like to do. Send it to thanksgiving@goldwingnut.com. Thanksgiving@goldwingnut.com. Should be a pretty easy one to remember. With that, I want to thank you all again for joining me. Mr. Arnold, Ms. Smith, Mr. Blocker, thank you for showing up. My sponsors, thank you, folks, thank you very much. So enjoy life to its fullest and have a great day. I'm Don Wiley. Thanks for joining us. Adam? All right. Thank you very much, folks. Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Carts is the place for all your Yamaha golf car needs. Family owned and operated for over 20 years in the city of Webster, carrying the full line of both gas and electric Yamaha golf cars, Country Village will build one to your specification, including the latest in lithium batteries. Country Village has a large selection of parts for both gas and electric golf cars, and unlike some other dealers, sells directly to the consumer. Service for your new and current golf car is available at your home or in store. Each new golf car includes an unmatched 6-year warranty. For the best value in golf car ownership, come to Country Village Power Equipment and Golf Cars.
So we all know when people move into their homes, especially in Florida, we're limited for storage space. So what we do is we come in and help create storage space by maximizing what is currently available in their kitchens and their closets and other rooms. So a few of the things that we really pride ourselves on is communication with the customer, and our attention to detail is second to none. If you're looking to transform your kitchen, closet, or any other space in your home, give us a call or check out our website to book an appointment.